This video here will be about my first impressions of owning a Prius, okay? And it's interesting because it does change how you perceive driving, but we'll get on to that. The ride in a Prius is very smooth. The suspension is brilliant. It's a nice, smooth ride with not too much road noise or too much road feedback. In fact, I had suspected that the Prius wouldn't be as smooth as the new Corolla. However, the Prius has a different suspension system and as a result has got better, smoother suspension. So as a ride, it's a very nice city cruiser. Even long distance, it's a nice cruiser. The engine has just come on. So that's the engine ring right now. The windows are down just a little bit. So that's why maybe you can hear more than you might normally hear. I might as well put the windows up, give you an idea. Not much difference, I suppose. Anyway, moving on. One major difference that you're going to see when you own a Prius, of course, is the speedometer and the meters in the middle. Of course, normally they are straight in front of the driver. However, in this case, it's almost a very communal display. Everybody in the car can see this, from the back seat to the passengers. Everyone can see what's happening with the car. Really, you can even tell if the driver is flooring the gas or not, as the gauge which shows the car's efficiency also does basically display how much you are pressing the throttle. That's interesting. A couple of other interesting distinctions that you might find with the Prius are there's no rev meter, and this seems to be a thing with Toyota hybrids. It's almost as if the rev meter is irrelevant, which I understand, because generally revs would be related to gear changes, and a Prius has a continuously variable transmission. In my opinion, the world's best transmission type. It is absolutely stunning. I might cover that in another video, but I love the transmissions, guys. They are magnificent. In my opinion, they supersede German transitions by a mile. Okay, anyway, that's for a different video. So, no rev counter, no engine temperature either. Now, that's an interesting one for me because I kind of would like to know how hot my engine is getting. But I kind of understand it with hybrids because the engine will manage to stay quite cool because it's switching off a lot. And right on cue, the engine there has switched off. So yeah, so no rev counter, no temperature. Okay. Now, aside from that, I love being able to sit in this car with it switched on like it is right now. I'm not burning fuel, but I can still use all the facilities of the car. I can use the air conditioning, I can use the stereo, the in-car entertainment, I can charge up my mobile device or anything that I want to charge up. I can use the interior lights, headlights, whatever I want to do. I can do that without worrying about burning fuel, and I love that. Anyway, let's keep going. The armrests in this car, they don't seem, in my opinion, they don't feel even. Like the center one feels higher than the door one. I'm sure that the center one is higher. I'm quite positive, in fact. This car only has one footrest, so that's on the left-hand side. So you can't really rest your gas foot, throttle foot, right-hand side one. Whereas when I had a VW, that had two footrests. So when you are in cruise control, you can rest both of your feet, which is my preference, to be honest with you. That's one thing. This is an issue for me, and I feel like Toyota haven't got this covered yet, and it's a little bit annoying. When you activate the window lock, so I like to lock the windows so the children at the back can't lower the windows, you know, unless I lower it for them. But when the lock is on to lock the windows, I can still lower my window and raise my window, but I can't control the others. Whereas when I had a VW, I was able to lock all the windows, but then I could still control all the windows. Instead, I have to remove the lock, then I can control the windows and then lock it again. So I feel like that is something Toyota could address. Could be good if you could fix that. However, I love Toyota in the sense that they operate under, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And with that philosophy, Toyotas are so reliable, and almost every single bit of these things just keeps on going. Love it. Next, the direction selector. So it's not a gear stick. It's not a gear stick, guys. This is a direction selector. It's a very small, like, joystick thing. Let's call it a gear stick. It's a gear stick, guys. It's a very small directional gear stick. It's like not like one I've ever used before. It slots into gear. You have to kind of hold it in gear for a second before it'll stay there. And then it'll hold the gear for you. But yeah, it's great. It's non-intrusive. Get used to it quickly. Fantastic. One gripe of mine is that the parking gear is a button, whereas all the rest of the gears are just like gears. You put it in place and it'll hold it. The parking gear is almost giving you the thought that it's like a handbrake button. You know, like you have cars where the handbrake is a button or a switch. It makes you think that that's the situation in this car, but it isn't. This car has a foot brake or foot handbrake, whatever you want to call it. I'd call it a foot brake. So that's what it has. Okay, so it's not a handbrake, it's a foot brake. You push it in, holds position. All right. So you do that, and then you press P for park. All right. I may cover how to park these correctly in another video. In fact, I will. I should cover that in another video, so I will, okay? How to park a Prius correctly to make sure that you are taking care of your transmission, your gears, and you are not damaging your gearbox with how you park. Because if you park this, or really any other automatic, incorrectly, you can damage the gearbox. You can put pressure on it. Next, the tech. The tech level, at least in the car that I've got, is absolutely magnificent. I will cover this in videos going forward, but just as first impressions, the level of tech that you get in a Prius, oh my god, guys, it has changed my perception of when I see a Prius driver. Okay, let's admit it, a lot of Prius drivers or Priuses on the road are taxis, at least over here in the UK. Okay, and no joke, guys, I'm telling you, they are the happiest drivers on the road. Trust me, they are the happiest drivers on the road, I guarantee you. They are the most zen drivers, the most chilled out drivers, the most savvy drivers on the road, I guarantee you that much. And then when you introduce the tech, it takes relaxation to a whole nother level. I will be showing you the tech that's available in this car, and there's a lot of it in videos to come. Okay. Another thing about this car, which is kind of expected, but the levels it goes to is interesting, is how economical this car is. Of course, it's famously economical, we all know that. Economical and Prius are almost synonyms, they go hand in hand, okay? But the things that this car does to be economical are amazing. So I have these like wind deflectors which go across the tops of the windows. That's front and back, Toyota branded. All right, and you just think, yeah, that's just a nice feature. If it's raining or whatever, like it is now, and it always is pretty much in the UK, you can still crack the windows a little bit and you can get some air in and cool down. And you just think that's the end of it, but not really. Thinking about it on a deeper level, that's making this all more economical, because you are saving electric by not using the fans. So you're not using the fans, you're not using electric, you're cracking the windows instead, not getting wet, getting air in nicely, and it's saving you power, and you're still keeping cool. Why hasn't every electric car got these things fitted as standard, because I know that there are people out there where they hit the fans in their car and their range goes down. It's using electricity, and that's going to affect how far they can go. Prius, Toyota have thought about that, and just a simple, subtle, crack the windows, get cool air in, saves you using the fans, goes further. So that's an example of how far they take the economy side of a Prius. I love the styling, I love the design, I love the way it's branded, where I want to see it branded. I would prefer it if certain things were a little bit more illuminated when I need them. I feel like there are times when things just aren't really popping out at me. And it's hard to explain that one when it's not happening. Next time it happens, I'll try and make a note of it and let you know. This car I have is an import. As a result, my indicators are on the wrong side. Alright. And so I have hit the wipers sometimes when I'm actually trying to indicate where I'm going. Something that I'm getting used to, and I kind of am used to it now, really. I love that Priuses, pretty much as standard, have reverse cameras fitted. It's the same with the other car I own, which is a Lexus. Pretty old, but it has a reverse camera fitted, and that is magnificent. In this car, I'm fortunate enough to have sensors as well, so that's brilliant. I should mention in first impressions about the rear window, which is kind of controversial in a sense, and I think has been present in all of the Prius models. And it's the one where it's basically two windows with a separation in the center. It hasn't been an issue for me at all. Not at all. In fact, I find that when I'm driving, it blocks the light from headlights behind me, which actually makes a bit more of a comfortable drive because I've not got headlights beaming back at me from there. The rear mirror is automatic, so I wouldn't get dazzled anyway, but it's just comfortable and it's nice. So no issues there with that famous rear window. Priuses are ugly, famously ugly. Okay, the new ones are gorgeous. Okay, and I do think that there are a couple of models that are actually okay or better looking. All right, but yeah, this one, I tolerate it. Let's put it that way. It's growing on me. I'm not going to lie. It is growing on me, but I tolerate it. Let's say that I love the way the interior looks. The interior is beautiful, and I'm just happy that I don't have to see it from the outside. Okay. And again, this is a car that I'm trying to grow to love. In this car, I was fortunate enough to get an interesting infotainment system, and that comes in the shape of quite a decent sized screen. I think this is 10 inches. I don't like the theme of it. The theme of it is not very nice. Like the icons and things, it's not to my taste. And aside from that, it's quite laggy and annoying. So full transparency, although this has got Android on it and I can put apps on it like YouTube and BBC iPlayer, etc. I suppose pretty much any Android app that I want, pretty much. It's laggy, really laggy, and like slow and weak, and it has issues. But the Android Auto works well, so that's fine. I'll accept it. Android Auto works well. Another downside though, by the way, of having like an infotainment system fitted is you kind of lose where the car's standard settings are. They're somewhere inside this infotainment system, because normally part of the job of the infotainment system here is to show you settings like how long the lights stay on for when you turn the car off, you know, and other, you know, basic features of the car are in there somewhere. And I've kind of worked it out where they are, but not really. It's kind of a complex infotainment system. In a way, the standard one may well be the best one. However, I know that the sat nav of the standard one is hard to use. Like, it's outdated. You'd have to have a knack for it and get used to it. So in a way, you'd kind of have to get a third-party one. It's just a case of finding a good one. The one I have is not a good one. I'll cover it in another video. I'd recommend you avoid it. I'll give you the details on it, okay? Last but not least, the boot. Yes, the boot was a consideration for me when it came to buying this car. The The boot is magnificent, so much space in there. You can fit basically loads of things. You lower the seats, you can fit even more. I'm not going to show that to you. There's plenty of videos already that exist when it comes to, you know, showing you the boot and stuff. I'll show you other things. All right. Another quick thing, actually, it's got a rear armrest, and in that armrest are 2 cup holders, and just comes in useful. Really, really useful. The seats are a bit different. The seats are interesting. They feel nice. They feel firm, but I do know that the seats wear down quite quickly. Bear in mind as well, this on the steering wheel is faux leather. So it's not leather, it's like a fake leather. And I have seen it in very hot sunlight, in very hot heat. This can like melt and stuff. So I'm not expecting this to go a very long way. So I do know that the actual interior materials can wear quite quickly in places like the seats, probably this armrest, the steering wheel. I think that the doors and the dash might last me quite well. But yeah, it may well not age too well. It's safe to say that somebody said something very interesting. I'm going to tell you this. Okay, this is interesting. All right. Someone said that VWs, or maybe all German cars, I don't know, but let's say VWs, it was pretty much said in this quote, they spend money on the things that you can see and touch. The things that you can see and touch are really high quality and expensive. But the things that you can't touch are really low quality and just horrendous. Like the mechanics, the engine, yeah, underneath the car, the things that you can't see, they go. And you know what? To my experience, that is correct. Whereas Toyota, the things you can see, arguably lowish quality, yeah, inexpensive. But the things you can't see are expensive and are of the best quality, i.e. the engine, the transmission. So what you can't see there, it will last. It is not over-engineered. It is just right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And these things, they go. And they go for a very long time. Anyway, hit subscribe, hit like, hit share, stay with us. This is going to be your resource for all things Prius. Lots more to come, and I will catch you in the next one.